So, hi everybody, I hope you're well. My name is Jen, you're very welcome back to Law Hero. I make videos about the law, and today we are talking about the Fe1 Tort Law Autumn 2023 paper. So the first question was an essay question where you would establish the duty of care in tort actions, paying particular care to recent jurisprudence. This would have just been an essay where if you didn't know the most recent law, probably wouldn't have been great, but most people would have been able to pass it with just kind of like a cursory step through, like Donahue v. Stevenson, etc. So I think it would have been fine to pass for most people. The second question then is advise David as to his legal position under the law of tort. And if we go down through, we can see there is an article published, and when we think about that, we think of allegations and defamation. So here David seems to be a victim of some statements, and then the question is, are they actually defamatory? So we apply the law from the Defamation Act to the facts. We see if there's any defences, and we come to some kind of a conclusion. And I think that would have been fine for most people. Question 3 then was a problem question. Advise Aoife as to any legal action she would have. This seems to be a nuisance question. There was a heat pump installed, and it made a really loud noise. There's so many case laws when it comes to nuisance. Don't forget there's public and private nuisance. This one's private, obviously, because it's on private land. And I think most people would have done fine there. Question 4 is an essay question on the calculation of damages in tort and any relevant guidelines, whether judicial or regulatory. The ones that are coming to mind there for me are certainly the Book of Quantum or the revised Book of Quantum. I think it was revised either 2022 or 2023 when it comes to personal injury. That's definitely what I would have talked about there. Question 5 then is a problem question where someone's accused of stealing and it seems that they are stopped from moving, which would be like false imprisonment. She starts to feel claustrophobic, some battery, some assault. He puts her hands on her as well. So these are torts against the person. I think this would have been fine for most people. Applying the law to the facts. I mean, there could be some vicarious liability here. The fact that he's a security guard. Could talk really about his training and what the employer has done to kind of mitigate that this kind of thing would happen. Okay, so question 6, BIFF for refusing any liability for the loss of power, saying Luke was not authorised to have a nail gun. Sounds to me this sounds very much like vicarious liability, that somebody wasn't trained properly, health and safety. So I suppose you have to show the vicarious liability of the employer here. Seems to be shooting a nail gun like a real gun. This is classic vicarious liability question and unlawful activity at work. And the duties owed under the 2005 Act to your employee. Question 7 then seems to be a problem question around passing off, which is where you have unregistered intellectual property. I think it seems to be like a Louboutin. I don't know. Anyway, they're trying to piggyback here off the brand. So you just apply the test from passing off. I think that was a fine question, to be honest. And then you talk about damages. Question 8 was an essay question. Critically discuss the law regarding fatal injuries, paying attention to statutory authority and judicial precedent. I don't think most people would have done that, to be honest. I certainly wouldn't have covered it really a lot in my ebook. So yeah, going back on the paper, I actually think this is an okay paper. I mean, if you think about it, negligence was brought up as an essay question, and I think most people would have done well there. Actually, there I would have mentioned the Ironman Cork if I was a savvy student, because I think even though, you know, it's not a case, you could definitely apply it to the facts, and talk about other cases like I did in that video. There is more recent jurisprudence in my book, I know that, but you could just throw it in there out of interest, because it really is like a classic case of, you know, the limbs of negligence. When I go down through it, it's probably a good way to learn. Defamation was fine. It's just the usual kind of problem question. The question around nuisance was fine as well. I don't think there was anything much in that. It's very much vicarious liability. There was a passing off question, yeah, and then the last question then was little bit left to centre. So I think 7 out of 8 were fine, and yeah, thought it was a fine tort paper. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.